Hey friends, glad to be back today, and I'm posing a question. Do we accept disrespect in our relationships? Stay tuned, I'm going to be talking about that and exploring the subject and maybe revealing, quite possibly, some personal relationships that you are being disrespected and you're not speaking up about it. Glad to be back today. So I'm asking the question, are you being disrespected in some of your relationships that you call friendships? And are you not speaking up about it? You know, oftentimes we can be silently bullied because we give in to what our friends do. We don't say, hey, I don't like that. We don't stand up and say, you know what, I feel disrespected or I don't like the energy here. Instead, we just kind of go with the flow. We don't want to rock the boat because we want to keep this friendship, right? So the first thing I want to examine in today's video is how our acceptance and our non-acceptance of their words and actions are critical in any relationship. I found myself in several friendships where I just kind of went along with it. Like I didn't really want to rock the boat, I didn't want to say anything, and I didn't call them out when they were really rude. Let me ask you a question. When someone is rude, do you call them out on it or do you go with the flow? When someone stands you up, when I mean stands you up for lunch or dinner or going out for drinks or something, do you put them on a friend probation or do you just really say nothing? If they text you, say, it's okay, no big deal. When someone shows you disrespect, do you call out the action and you stop spending time with them either momentarily or for a long period of time? Or do you continue like nothing happened? You know, this happens to many of us because what? Friendship is something that we really cherish. We want to have as many friends as possible. We want to have long-term friendships, and we really want to cultivate these friendships. But oftentimes, what happens? We get the short end of the stick because we want the friendship so bad, it doesn't matter how bad the friendship really is. Like, how toxic is it? How good is it for us? How helpful is it? And does it really provide anything in our life, or does it really just take away? The second thing that I find interesting is that in an effort to not fight and to not argue and to make sure that nobody's voices gets too loud, right? We keep our feelings inside. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I keep my feelings inside, it makes me really kind of angry. Like I get a little stressed out about it. Like I feel like I'm being, fake. I feel like I'm not being honest. And you know what I am not being honest. I'm actually being fake because what's happening is we don't speak up, we don't want to say anything, and we get walked all over, and I like to call this silently bullied, okay? Silently bullied because these are supposed to be our friends. And so to be silently bullied is when someone you know is steamrolling all over you by any means necessary, and you're not standing up for yourself. I mean, when was the last time that happened in your life? When you didn't want to fight, you didn't want to argue, you didn't want to have an argumentation, you didn't want that person to raise their voice. So what did you do? You got meek, you got quiet, you got small, and you let them roll right on over you, telling you what you should be doing, giving you directions, telling you what's up. It's like you were almost dealing with like a parent figure when this is supposed to be your friend. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And the quieter we stay, the more we feel like we're doing our job to keep the peace. But are we really keeping the peace, or are we just getting more and more angry inside? The third thing is we want to be loved, we want to be liked, we want to have a lot of friends, and so we fear speaking up for ourselves, right? We fear that speaking up part. And in the beginning, we let the little things slide. We let those little things slide because we don't realize the power and the strength that these seem to be little things have. Isn't that interesting? And these little things become what? They become big things. They become big things that lead to an unhealthy relationship. Let me give you an example, okay? You enter into a friendship and your new friend says something kind of demeaning towards you. Like they kind of put you down in a way that's maybe kind of covert, right? It's not right there like in a neon light saying this was a put down, but you kind of let it go. You know, you kind of let it go. You think maybe they had a bad day or they didn't really mean it or whatever, and so you just kind of sweep it under the rug. But that little thing becomes like a really big thing. Because you didn't say anything about it. You didn't stop it. You didn't stand up for yourself. You didn't say, hey, wait a second. I'm feeling a little disrespected here, okay? A while back, I was in a relationship and I brought up my feelings about a specific situation. And that person's response back to me was, well, I'm sorry that you're so miserable. Okay. And I said, well, wait a second. What does that mean? You're sorry that I'm miserable? Okay. I said, no, take that back. I'm not miserable. So you're saying that I'm a miserable person. I was like, take that back. I'm not owning that. Their response was, no, that you feel miserable. But do you see how easy that was to switch that around? And do you understand how small that thing is? But it's really not small because that person's calling you miserable. You shouldn't allow that in your life, period. And when that happens, you need to stand up for yourself. But what happens is we often think, well, somebody must have had a bad day, or they didn't mean it that way. And so we just let it go. But those small things become big because then they begin to treat us that way. Because why? Because we've let them. Oftentimes we don't realize small innuendos of disrespect. And in order to facilitate a relationship based on respect, anything that's not respectful or at the highest good must be challenged. Light must be shined on it for everybody to understand where we're at. So we've talked about acceptance and non-acceptance of words and actions by the people we call our friends. We've talked about not arguing and not fighting, not wanting to rock the boat and keeping all the feelings inside, and we know how great that makes us feel. We've talked about being fearful of speaking up and letting the small things slide even though they become huge things and they can ruin a friendship. So what happens when you find yourself right here in a situation, okay? You feel like you're being disrespected, you want to save the friendship, but yet that anger is inside of you and it's upsetting you and it's pushing you every day to want to avoid this person, to not want to talk to them, or to want to end the relationship. Okay, here's a challenge. The challenge begins to set boundaries with this relationship. And the problem with this is that you're setting boundaries after the fact, right? But if you really care enough about the relationship, you've got to do something. This has a 50-50 chance of winning or losing, okay? Because oftentimes when we go backwards in a relationship, we've been friends for years, right? We're catching the stuff going on, these little put downs, these disrespects, these actions, these things that go against who we are. And so now we realize, okay, we can't continue the friendship as it is. So what do we do? Okay, so, one of the things that I've done is I go backwards and I say, okay, yeah, I should have done this before. And in every relationship after this, I'm going to continue to set my boundaries in the beginning. But let's go back and set some boundaries now. And how that works is the next time that you set up a time to see your friend, and that's the same friend that stood you up, let them know, hey, I got a really tough schedule. I can meet you at this time and I'll be there. And you both agree with the time. When you show up, if they don't show up, okay, you've got to put the line in the sand. Hey, I've really given you the benefit of the doubt a couple of times now, and I have a lot on my plate. I care about you as a friend, but standing me up is not showing me that you care, and it's not showing me that we actually are a friend, right? Because that doesn't show a friendship. That actually shows a lot more disrespect. So when we're creating these boundaries in an existing relationship, we've got to adhere to them, okay? You can't go back and forth. You can't be wavy over here and doing this and doing that and going back and forth. It doesn't work that way. And the problem is that oftentimes these boundaries feel almost obtuse. Why? Because you're introducing them into an existing relationship. And so they kind of seem weird. They seem like the elephant in the room. But you've got to create them and stand up for those boundaries, because those boundaries are really a reflection of the level of respect that you expect in this friendship. Honesty is always the best policy, and I'm the first person to say I have been in many friendships where I was walked all over, okay? And then I tried to create these boundaries later on in the middle of the friendship, and then I kind of got lax about it, and then my mind started telling me it's not that big of a deal. You're taking it too personally. You're wearing your emotions on your sleeve. They didn't really mean it that way. You're just being emotional today. But you know what happened? I would be lax on the boundaries, and then that person would do what? They would walk all over me again, and guess what? I would feel miserable again. I would feel disheartened, sad, stressed out, fearful, and guess what? I would feel like this wasn't much of a friendship, and I'd kind of get angry inside, okay? And when we get angry inside like that, it's our inner self, it's our higher self telling us that we deserve more. It's also beginning to tell us that it's really no longer about that person and how they treat us. It's about us and the treatment that we'll accept. When we accept bad treatment, that means that we have self-esteem issues, that we're allowing them to treat us badly. Oftentimes we allow people to treat us badly. Why? Because we've had it in the past. We were raised around it. We were brought up that way, that this is normal, even though it's really unhealthy. And so we've had to juggle, we've had to jump through hoops to impress family or friends or whatever. And so we get into that methodology of thinking and feeling, and we assume that that's normal, but it's not. And so what we're really doing is devaluing ourselves and allowing someone else to do it and us not stand up for ourselves. By standing up for ourselves, we want to create boundaries that provide for us and don't take away. Okay? The first boundary creation that we want to talk about is healthy relationships. Creating those healthy relationships and realizing what healthy relationships are. Okay? A healthy relationship is a two-way street. It's a give and get. It's a respect. It's an unconditional love thing. It's not walking over other people's boundaries. It's showing them respect as being proactive, right? Boundaries also that we want to create is not putting each other down. I don't want somebody putting me down, and I'm definitely not going to put them down, okay? It's reciprocal. Another thing is being supportive. Don't you want people to be supportive in your life and to support your ventures and the things that you create and this awesome stuff that you do? Also, you want to be supportive of them, giving your support to them and caring about the projects and the things that they're creating, because you know what? It takes a lot of will and effort to create and to put your stuff out there in life. And so wouldn't you want friends that are there being supportive and say, hey, great job. I believe in you and I care about you and triumph you? Well, if you want that, then you need to also give that. Another boundaries to create is building each other up and not putting each other down, okay? That's important. You've got to build each other up, and you've got to build one another up and not put each other down. And that's so critical to a solid relationship. Any friendship, period, needs to be built on these pillars and these thought process of healthy relationships. So basically, if a friend can't commit to these types of things, it's probably time to move on, unless you're not ready to. What I've found in life is oftentimes we may feel like we're ready to move on because we've had enough. We feel like we've been beaten down enough. We've been abused enough. We've been disrespected enough. But something in us wants to give that person another chance. Okay? Now, that's part of the savior complex. Well, maybe if I spend more time with them, they might change, right? That's also part of the process of thinking that other people are just going to change because you want them to. It's also interesting, too, because we often don't see the other side, right? The other side meaning that sometimes people come into your life to be a teacher, okay? They might teach you some things that might be painful, but it's a teacher to reveal the fact, do I have enough self-esteem to exit stage right from this relationship? Do I have enough self-esteem and care about myself to have a real conversation with this person and let them know, hey, I love you and I care about you, but I'm not going to allow you to treat me like this. I'm not going to allow you to talk to me like this, and I don't appreciate that. So unless we can change these types of things in our relationship, I'm going to need to take some time off from it, and then we'll figure out where we stand later on. You know, what I've found is that oftentimes in relationships, it's a teaching tool to us, and it's a mirror of the things that we'll deal with and the things that we won't. And sometimes we have to let go of relationships in our life to find better relationships that are there for us, that are positive, that are supportive, and that they're healthy. Being a therapist and working with clients, I understand this situation inside and out, but I also have been through it personally, okay? And when you've been through something personally and you figured out what to do and what not to do, that's why I can offer advice. And that's why I understand all the different caveats of the situation, because it's not just that easy to just cut off that friendship. You'll have a friend that says, oh, you shouldn't talk to them anymore. They're a bad person and they treat you like crap. Why do you do that? Just cut them out. Well, it's not just that easy, okay? And really, honestly, when they're dealing in their own relationships, it's not easy for them either. It's easy to give advice to just quit and get out of it, but oftentimes we have to really witness, why am I still in this relationship? What am I learning? And what do I need to learn from this situation? Because every relationship we have is what? It's a learning tool. This whole life we're in is education. It's a big school. And sometimes we might learn lessons we didn't want to learn, but they make us stronger, and they also make us identify our true value. So I have a question. When was the last time you let somebody walk all over you, and why'd you let them? Please leave a comment below this video and let me know. In the meantime, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. If this video content has helped you in any way, please leave a like and share with your friends and family. I hope this video today and the content has helped you. And remember, when we let people walk all over us, we're just telling them that we're allowing that. We're basically training them to how we want to be treated, even though it's in a negative, derogatory way. You're a beacon of light that deserves respect and love, not disrespect. Don't forget to live your true life today.